Hey, I'm back. Happy New Year. I know it's been a while, but I thought I'd come back today and talk about fashion in Japan, specifically Japanese women's fashion. Somebody requested this and they wanted me to talk about fashion, so I thought, that's an interesting topic, let's do it. I'm going to divide this into two parts. Today I'm going to talk about women's fashion, but in the future I'll talk about men's fashion too. I'll come out with a second video on that. But to get started, I should talk about kind of the history of fashion. I'm not going to go over all of it today, but there is an interesting video on YouTube if you want to check it out, and it goes over, I think, 100 years of Japanese women's fashion, and so there should be a link here. You can check that out and watch it for yourself. It's really interesting. But to get into it, maybe more current fashions, let's talk about what Japanese people oftentimes wear. For non-adults, for children, oftentimes they have to wear a uniform. So from elementary school until the end of high school, they wear a uniform. And I thought that people didn't like wearing these uniforms because, from my perspective, I didn't wear a uniform in high school, but the idea of it was just kind of a turnoff. But actually, in Japan, lots of people like wearing the uniforms, and it's a little bit interesting. So people oftentimes, kind of take pride in their uniforms, and it's a kind of popular thing. But let's talk about non-children, people that don't have to wear uniforms. In a way, they almost have to wear a uniform, actually. So here you can see this is what the average woman will wear to work. This is kind of known as like OL fashion. In other words, office lady fashion. So you see this, there's usually a jacket like this, and it's gray, black, or dark blue. And then sometimes pants, or sometimes there's a skirt. So you can see there's like variations of this everywhere, different slacks, and there's some different things here which are interesting. But it's basically all the same fashion. One thing might be slightly different from other countries. Our skirts are like a bit more popular in Japan than they are in America, as far as I've seen. So lots of women do actually wear skirts. So that's one interesting thing. But this one isn't so interesting. You rarely see someone in office wear something that's not like this. I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear like a pink jacket, or maybe very rarely I've seen like a white jacket, but even then that's pretty rare. And it's usually either white or a really light colored shirt, like light pink, light blue, etc. So it's not that adventurous, but it's just normal fashion you'll see everywhere. If you come to Japan, especially a place like Tokyo where there's lots of people in the business center, I would guess probably about 40 to 50% of the women will be dressed like this. But let's move on to more casual fashion. So casual fashion now is a little bit more subdued, I'd say, than before. So right now, more, not like bright, but more, I guess, I shouldn't really say drab, but blacks, beiges, grays, those types of colors are in fashion right now. I'll try to put something on the screen so you can see it, but there's lots of different things, and it's, I say, instead of like very tight fashion, more loose-fitting clothing, things that are, I shouldn't say baggy, but they're not so constricting, and they're not too revealing either. Of course there's matching, but it's more of a casual style as opposed to high fashion style. From what I've heard, pleated skirts are in fashion, so if you like those, you'll be in fashion. And also these really wide leg pants are in fashion. I don't know if this is like the influence of like European fashion or if it's like ancient Japanese fashion. So for those that don't know, they actually have like the old Japanese pants. Was it hakama? I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on that. But they were old style Japanese pants, and they have very wide legs, and it looks almost like a skirt until you see someone move, and then it has, it's actually pants. But actually men wore those. I don't know if women ever wore those, but now for women they're becoming more popular, and you see women wearing things like that. But also other things like frills and things are a little bit popular. You can see on here different types of things they oftentimes wear. As far as other things like, let's say, makeup, I'm surprised to see that bright red lipstick is kind of making a comeback. So for a long time, it seemed like more natural shades were in fashion, but now it seems like revival of the 80s has come back, and that really bright red has come back for lipstick. Also, like 1970s style, like where the bangs are cut in the front, where it looks like an old like Japanese doll or something, that's kind of back. I was surprised at how many girls I've seen recently with that style of haircut. It might be the influence of what's it, Naomi Watanabe? I'm not sure though. Maybe somebody else was doing it before her, but she's the first one I've seen that's done that, and now I've noticed lots of women have kind of copied her. But that's what I think. Another one that's kind of maybe strange for other people from other countries are masks. So you know those kind of like surgical masks that surgeons wear or people wear when they're sick? People oftentimes wear those all year round, even when they're not sick. So it's a weird thing when you first come to Japan. I was like, why is everybody wearing this? It's like, is there some kind of deadly disease? But at first, people just kind of wore these as a courtesy, because if they were sick, they'd wear this not to get other people sick. And I can understand that's very polite. Then people started wearing them to kind of, cover themselves so they wouldn't receive germs from other people. But later it kind of became almost like a fashion statement, or I shouldn't say fashion. It was basically like if you had like a pimple, or you didn't want to put on makeup or something else, you just put this mask on. And now lots of people are doing this, I guess because they feel it makes them look better, or some people said, like, I feel like I'm too close to people, or people know me too well if I take this off, so they kind of use it to cover their face. But at any rate, there's lots of companies making like more stylish masks. So as you can see here, this design mask collection from a company named Pico, I believe. They have some for children where they have like different designs like flowers and fruits and things. But they also have these for adults where they have these kind of interesting designs in different colors. And if you look down here, they have even more like pink ones, flower designs, camouflage. This one with the leopard print, zebra. Got everything really. I don't know why you need this, but like I said, there's more and more people wearing masks, and especially this time of year in winter, I would guess probably about 25 to 30% of the people you see are wearing masks, so it's not uncommon. So I guess people kind of do want to accessorize and use that, so that's another interesting thing you'll see in Japanese fashion. One thing I kind of want to emphasize here is all Japanese fashion isn't the same. I can't really say like, oh, all Japanese people are wearing this or all Japanese people are wearing that, because there's actually lots of diversity in the fact that there's different people that like, or in different areas they wear different things. So in Osaka, I believe it said old women are known for wearing like leopard print. I don't know if that's still true, but someone told me that, so maybe they enjoy this type of mask. But I know also in Harajuku they have like the Gothic Lolita fashion and all sorts of different types of fashion. Even in that area there's lots of diversity in fashion. So it kind of depends on where you go, but I'm just trying to go over the basics of fashion. Another thing that's kind of become a trend recently is the mixing of modern fashion and traditional Japanese fashion. So recently there's been more people becoming interested in kimonos. I shouldn't really say that. I haven't become interested in kimonos. They're always interested in kimonos. But you see things that are like mixes of kimonos and other things. I'll try to show you some pictures here. Although to be honest, lots of these are just like foreign people wearing like kimonos that are not real kimonos. But you can see some of these things here. Is this a real kimono? That actually might be a real one. But there are some companies recently, they're making like kimono dresses. So they're taking the like the fabric of the kimono and the basic shape of it, but they're expanding it into dresses and other things. Or they're putting like kimono fabrics on bags, etc. So that's somewhat of a trend. It's not super big, but some people like that. And for those that were wondering, kimonos actually are used fairly often in Japan. So not all the time, but I would guess maybe every other day or once every 3 days I see an older woman wearing a kimono. Recently they just had Coming of Age Day, And during that time, maybe all women wear kimonos. All women are 20 years old wear kimonos. And also for other ceremonies and things, people wear them. In summertime, instead of kimonos, people wear something else. It's called a yukata. So this is kind of a lightweight kimono. I'm not sure the exact difference, although it does say here, kimono difference. I could probably learn something. I believe it's cheaper fabric. It's also lighter. I believe yukatas are made of cotton and kimonos are made of silk. Let's see here if it tells me a difference. What's the difference between kimono and yukata? I don't know if I want to go down this road here, but yukata are definitely much cheaper. I'm not going to read this, but please, you should read this if you want to know. Yukatas can usually be had for between like $20 and $100, maybe even cheaper, like $10. But kimonos are probably, like a good kimono is going to cost you like at minimum probably like $300 to $500, and really nice kimonos are like $10,000, so it's like the price of a car. So that's a little bit expensive. But in the summertime, people oftentimes wear yukata to go to festivals. So if you come to Japan during the summer, you'll see lots of these everywhere. And so one last thing is I'll try to, give my opinion on the difference between American women's fashion and Japanese women's fashion. So one of the biggest things is I think Japanese women's fashion is a little bit more feminine. So you'll see a lot more women wearing pink. You'll see a lot more dresses and skirts. And another thing is Japanese women's fashion is more cute instead of sexy. So you won't see lots of like really tight-fitting clothing. I don't think I've ever seen, well, maybe I shouldn't say never, but it's very rare to see like a low-cut shirt in Japan. So Japanese women don't like showing off their chest. Like maybe there's some place where you can buy shirts like that, but it's very rare. And they prefer more like cute things. So you'll see like women wearing like barrettes and things in their hair, and I've seen numerous 40 and 50-year-old women wearing like Hello Kitty clothing and accessories, which I don't think I've ever seen or heard of in America. Maybe there's some people that do, I don't know. But in Japan, it's not, maybe Hello Kitty is a little bit uncommon, but little cute things like that are not uncommon for women. And I think in general, Japanese women prefer that cute style as opposed to a more like sexy style. So I think that's probably the biggest difference. Of course, every year it changes, and I don't want to sit here and act like I'm the expert on Japanese women's fashion, but I had some help, so hopefully this gives you an idea of what fashion is like in 2016 in Japan. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll try to get to men's fashion soon, but until then, if you haven't subscribed, do that, and see you.